Hey everyone, my name is Austin. I'm a senior product designer at GitLab. Jumping into what happened this week, I wanted to start by giving a shout out to Sam for creating this awesome proposal that could help us shift away the burden of creating so many audit events inside GitLab. Perhaps we could shift that responsibility onto users or customers to define where that data should live. One problem we run into with trying to scale these events is our infrastructure isn't necessarily designed to be a logging type of environment. So if you want to track all of your Git events, perhaps we can give that to customers to decide if they want to move that somewhere else and capture those events without having to necessarily scale or redesign how GitLab handles that currently. We could do some of the easier ones, but maybe the more complex, more heavy-hitting events we could push off somewhere else. So we've got a solution validation issue open. We're talking through with Anna about how we might go about validating the remaining gaps in our understanding, but if you have any ideas on how to collaborate on it, feel free to add some to the proposal. The next thing I wanted to share, I don't know if I shared this already, but I just want to hit it again. There's an old issue that hits pretty squarely on where we're going with status checks. It was great to already see the word status checks in there. Pager brought this to my attention. It's got a lot of community support, and I've been getting some great feedback from existing customers as we start to talk more about these early previews into what status checks will bring into merge requests. This is going to be a very useful feature for teams looking to expand the way that they help guide the development process into production while keeping things safe. I also wanted to highlight some nice collaboration that we're having with the pipeline authoring group. Nadia and I have been going back and forth on some different ideas to create MVC. I would say where we're currently at right now is within the editor. When you're setting up these YAML files, we're going to provide an alert that's going to tell you where a compliance pipeline is, that it's going to be impacting your existing pipeline, that it might be overwriting some things, and also telling you that it's not going to show up here. So definitely embracing the spirit of MVC. I also wanted to call out this great addition from Sam that expands upon our compliance features documentation. He added on the compliance pipelines and the compliance frameworks, and also specifies which tier they're in and if they're available on SaaS or not. This is really important. We're seeing more and more TAMs and customers asking about compliance features, and it's important that we start sharing those things. We don't own all of these features themselves, but they can be used for compliance, so we do want to highlight that for people. So just because we don't own a feature outright doesn't mean that it's not used for compliance. So keep that in mind as we consider the scope of what compliance means for organizations. And then I spent today really trying to do my best to figure out how we can scale MR approval rules to the group. I'll suffice to say, we can't do it, as best as I understand, without fixing protective branches, or rather making protective branches more flexible. I forgot to add my link here in Loom to Loom, but it's a 17-minute video of me kind of rambling through my different screens. What I will instead highlight is I at least synthesized down my best idea into a single Figma artboard. Really, the crux of this whole thing, it lies within protective branches. I mean, if the protective branches don't exist, what populates currently in projects, if protective branches disappear, it defaults back to any branch, which is not a rule we want to enforce upon. It's way too restrictive. And so considering how we might bring in new projects and what they'll be inheriting and what is allowed to be created, there's just a lot of work to be done with protective branches. And that's going to be a blocker for moving protective branches to the group level and moving merge request approval rules to the group level. But we can still continue to make progress on things like MR approval settings, merge method, push rules even potentially. Those things are just the checkboxes. We can definitely continue growing out. And I think we have some neat ideas about how we can help illustrate using compliance frameworks to start enforcing things and showing how they are being portrayed at the project level. So that could be a nice path forward to keep us busy while we figure out the logic on the other end. Next, I found a problem today as I was thinking through that. It made me think about the compliance pipeline. It's possible to get stuck in this situation where it doesn't know where this file is. If you move it or delete it, you could be kind of screwed. The only way to get around it is you need a group owner to go in and demap it from the framework or remove the frameworks from different projects. So we should probably address that, or at least help users recover from it gracefully. Right now we don't really give them any feedback. Last but not least, and I put this in a collapsible section because it relates. My merge request merged, which was super exciting to me. I helped build this with the help of so many people, and it's fun just to see it there. And I've already used it numerous times this week and saved myself a good number of keystrokes. So if you haven't tried it out, give it a shot and let me know your feedback. Have a good weekend.